Hi, I'm UltimateRedFire, and I'm doing a game review on Xanadu next. This is my first ever review. Please give constructive comments on how I did. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Xanadu next! A game of adventure, mystery, and epic boss battles. Sir Knight, which is a character that you name, and Charlotte travel to Harlech Island to discover the mystery of Castle Strangerock. Before I continue any further, I will be talking a lot about the game, so there will be heavy spoilers. Xanadu Next is an awesome game, and I urge you to please play it yourself. It's only 20 bucks on Steam, or check out one of my videos. Now, on to the review. In the game, you play as a fallen knight who is both a bodyguard and a childhood friend to an up-and-coming Wells. You see, Charlotte wants to find out what is up with Castle Strangerock, like find out the mystery and history of the place. After you explore the tutorial dungeon, you come across a chest with the crown in it. Then after that, you meet a mysterious swordsman named Dvorak. He asks for the crown, for whatever reason. After that, he draws his blade, and you two enter a duel. But he is too strong, and you are defeated easily. You then become mortally wounded by Dvorak. After apologizing, he takes the crown and leaves. You are then healed by an older woman named Lies, but your wounds are too deep. Lies tells you that you can no longer swing a sword again, and if you push yourself, you will die. But she then tells you of the legendary sword called Dragon Slayer, which can cure anything if you wield the sword. She also tells you because you came back to a near-death state, you are able to have a guardian. Think of the Elder Scrolls series, when your character is born under a star or something like that, gaining unique abilities. That is what guardians are like. And thus, your adventure begins. The story is compared to other RPGs, but it's not the story that makes the game awesome, it's the gameplay. The game plays very interestingly. On the screen, there is your health, mana, more on that later, experience bar, abilities hotkeys, item hotkeys, a minimap. Above the minimap tells you where you are. In the middle of the screen, it tells you your enemy's health and the enemy's name. There's an interesting system in the game where every weapon has unique abilities. The more you use the weapon, the more proficient you are with the weapon, raising the damage. And when you master, for example, the dagger, which is the first weapon in the game, you get the skill called Thrust. Is a single target attack that damages and knockdowns an enemy. It's a great early game skill. Anyways, when you master the dagger, you'll keep the skill and you can use it on any weapon. Now, back to mana. It's different. So, unlike most RPGs, you don't have cooldowns. It has limited uses. This made me go crazy for the first half of the game. I would save my uses until I need them the most. Though, there are magic potions and an armlet that can sap mana points, that's besides the point. The point is, yeah, physical attacks as well, not just magic, which is one of the reasons I used passes throughout the game. The combat is pretty fun, whenever you want. You have to be close till a ring is around your enemy. Then you can melee attack your enemy. But you have to use timing and to get the better of your enemies. If you just swing your sword thoughtlessly, you will die quickly, especially in the early game. During combat and outside of combat, you can use active abilities. Whether it's melee or ranged abilities, magic being those ranged abilities. If you manage to hit the enemy from behind, you do double damage. There is also a chance you can no crit stat. Crit may be based on how high your accuracy is, but I never tested that. But I digress. After you level up in the game, you have to go to the church and talk to Lies to put points in various stats. Other things that you can do while in the church is change guardians as well as level down, which I find an interesting mechanic in the game. As the name suggests, you can level down your character and get your stat points back so you can put them in different stats. The thing about the game is that you can't build your character to whatever you want. Reason being why you can't, because that all weapons and armor is required to have a specific stat number, which is pretty lame. Throughout your adventures, you come across someone named Agnes, a treasure hunter. You can buy bones from her and make keys, as well as rare items which you can find nowhere else. You also come across the tabulae and diary pages, which uncovers the Xanadu era, which is then become useless later in the game because you are then told everything that happens anyway. Now I'm looking at you, Florette and Lies! At the end of every dungeon, there is a boss that you fight. Each boss fight is unique. It requires you to fight with tact as well as be a high enough level. At the end of every boss fight, you get a crown and or an item, which is required for you to press on. You can use the items to find secret areas for items. Along the way, you will meet more mysterious people. Later you find out that they are sages, which fought alongside Florette and against Galsis, the Dragon Lord. After finding all the crowns, you find your way to the castle Strangerock. Then it is revealed that Lies is the Black Bride, who married Galsis, plunged Xanadu into a dark age. When you return to town, you are told of a tale of the Xanadu age from the perspective of the sages in Florette. Florette is the twin sister of Lies. They explain that they, Florette and Lies, are sacred maidens. The sacred maiden's purpose is to use the blessed magic to unlock the seal of the crown to get the Dragon Slayer, the legendary sword. Then, so they can give it to the successor. Then you receive the sacred sword from Florette. After traveling to the center of the castle Strangerock, you then go up a long flight of stairs. Then you spot Lies. After she says a few words, she summons Galsis like you would summon a guardian. You then begin an epic final battle against Galsis. After realizing you are worthy of facing him, he then transforms into his final form! Then later, after a hard-fought battle, dodging lasers, beating skulls that can summon pillars of fire, and finally defeat him. After the battle, you later find out that Lies isn't actually evil. The fact is, because Florette is the older sister, she will be the one to be the Sacred Maiden. But the life of the Sacred Maiden is rough. And because of that, Lies go to the Sacred Place to free Florette from those tethers. Free to walk her own path to happiness. But Lies has poor health, and she still wanted to try her hardest, but the night of their 16th birthday, Florette has been chosen to be the Sacred Maiden, and after finding out, a chasm opened in Lies's heart. She was upset because she did not want her sister to have that fate. She downright refused. When Lorelei suggested that Lies to be married to Dragon King Galsis to inherit a large amount of power, and her maiden training to trick Galsis to seal him away within herself. Lies was hoping Florette wouldn't have to live the maiden life if Galsis disappeared. In Lorelei's eyes, Lies was a tool to facilitate for the release of Dragon King Galsis, but in Lies's eyes, it was a ray of hope. So Lies accepted, and thus is the story behind the Black Bride, Lies. But because Galsis has been Lies's body for 500 years, their souls have merged together, becoming one. So Lies is both herself and Galsis. As long as Lies is alive, Galsis will be alive too. So, Lies told Florette to plunge the sword into her body, but Florette refused. She then asked Sir Knight. There was no other way, it had to be done. She then thanks the knight and wished that they had met under normal circumstances. Then, he pierced the sacred sword into her body. But then Florette did the unthinkable. She transformed into a white phoenix and then took to the skies, taking Lies with her. By transforming into a phoenix, she can keep Galsis sealed for all eternity. Now then, time for some pros and cons. Unique combat system, really fun boss battles, the Xanadu era lore. The Guardians, you can swap anytime while in town. Agnes, can buy bones and rare items you can't buy anywhere else. The level 2 death spell. It's a spell that shreds through enemies for a limited amount of time. Unique abilities from weapons. Dvorak, because he's cool, and the big twist in the end. Cons. Limited use in abilities. Can't build my character however I want. I wish this game was about Florette and the sages in the Xanadu era. Early game is brutal if you fight like a moron. Some enemies are unable to hit with melee attacks when they fly. Charlotte barely had any time on the screen. I say that because she is also a main character. Can't actively block with shield. No evasive maneuvers like dashing or dodge rolling. Calcis becomes a pushover if you get a lot of damage buffs. I beat his first form in 2 hits and his final form in 2 hits, although the first hit... Now, it's time for me to rate the game. The game will be out of 10. The graphics, 7. I rate this based off of other N-Gage games, with the N-Gage being a handheld console. The music, 8. Cinematics, 7. Story, 5. Content, 6. Controls, 10. Gameplay, 7. The music is just beautiful. I love it. I feel like the music should be on the PS2, and that's saying a lot because the PS2 has many great games, like Shadow of Colossus for example. The cinematics are good, but not great. When compared to other games, there are some CG scenes as well. When compared to an obscure game like Phantom does, the characters in the scenes actually look like they do in the scenes. Xanadu does as well, but to a certain extent. The story is uninteresting. The Xanadu lore is way more interesting. Fortunately, there isn't much you can do after beating the game. There's portals to the world of the dead between the broken staircase and Castle Strangerock, but it's not enough. It's understandable, because it's from a handheld console, but I gotta be real. The controls just feels right. It's not clunky, it's not slippery, and it just feels so good in my hands. The game is solid. I would have given it a higher rating if it wasn't for my nitpicks. The gameplay is still awesome though. This game is solid, and I love it. And it certainly has its flaws, but the gameplay and exploration makes up for it. You should totally play it yourself. To top it all off, it's only $20 on Steam. Link in the description. I'll give the overall rating a 7.5 out of 10. Well, there you have it folks. This is my review on Xanadu Next. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. And if you want to see more, subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.